Hello, my name is Lynda Brown, and welcome to Meet the Candidates. It's my pleasure to bring this one-to-one question and answer forum to you. You know, in speaking with people around town, it's come to my attention that sometimes folks don't really know who might be running for a particular office, or even at times who's representing them presently. So this is one way for residents to get to know who's running for what office and to get to know a little bit more about the candidate and the issues that are important to them. I'll be asking local candidates questions that are pertinent to the office that they're seeking. They'll be about different issues facing the city and getting their responses and what they would do to either change or build on these issues. Now, notices inviting candidates to join in on this forum were sent out to all who are running. The ones that you'll be seeing in the interviews are candidates that responded. However, before I start, I'd like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to HC Media for opening their studio to me along with the help of their wonderful staff and equipment. So much goes into being able to do something like this, and I appreciate it so much. They are one of Haverhill's gems. So, we're going to get started with our first candidate. Hello, and now I'm here with Nick Golden. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Lynda.
I am thrilled to have you here, Nick. I know a lot about you, but please, to get this going, why don't you please share with everybody a little bit about you besides politics?
Sure.
Okay,
So
political arena.
I'm one of three kids. I'm the oldest child of three great children and two wonderful parents. Lifelong resident here in Haverhill. Something surprising about me is that in school I was really into theater. So I was Captain Von Trapp in The Sound of Music one year, which is probably my most favorite role. Yeah, I've sung in musicals. Yes, and all the kids. Yep,
Exactly.
Yep. It was a blast. So I've got some theater in me. Yep.
Wonderful, wonderful. That makes it so easy for you to talk to and you to talk to other people too.
Absolutely.
So this is your first time running for office,
It
right?
is. Yep.
So tell us, why have you decided to run and why City Council?
Why City Council? So I grew up here in Haverhill off Salem Street. I've always loved and cared about the city, been excited about it. I'm running to bring some new ideas and new blood to the City Council. I think turnover is critical to democracy, to having a healthy democracy and a healthy community. I've worked at the Eagle Tribune as a journalist, so I've held government accountable in that role, working covering Timberlane, Atkinson, Plastow, those communities. Great. I've spent the last 2 years at the legislature as a full-time staffer. So
that's great.
Yep. So I've written really bills. Good. I've helped constituents with what they need. It's a role that you're not the principal, but you do everything that a principal would do except make the final call.
Right.
I'm running because we're at a crossroads as a city. We're in a really exciting place. I think that a lot of people who've been in this space already have done some great work, but now we need to take the next big step. And that means new ideas, the kind of new energy that it takes. I want to bring that to serving on the council.
That's wonderful, and I think it's important that young people are involved. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going to be your world too, right? Right. When we kind of go on. Right. So, let's get into talking a little bit about some of the issues that you feel are really going to be kind of important.
Right.
Is there one particular issue that you think, if I'm on this, get to be on this next council, that you'd like to tackle?
It's education.
Okay.
It's absolutely education. When I've knocked about 5,000 doors so far in this campaign, knocking since January. I ask everyone the same question. What is your number one concern in the city right now? And more people than anyone else tell me it's education. And when people tell me, my life's pretty good, I'm not really worried about much right now, I tell them you have to be concerned about education because 90% of other communities in Massachusetts spend more per pupil than Haverhill does. That includes communities like Lawrence, that includes communities I think like Lowell. 2 out of every 3 Haverhill third graders can't read at grade level, which is a really concerning stat.
That's very concerning.
So whether you have kids or not, right? If you have children, you should be concerned that our MCAS scores are what they are. If you don't have kids, you should be concerned because good education boosts property values, and the schools that we have right now are falling apart. Our fiscal house is a complete mess, to be frank. It is, and there's been some mismanagement of the school district in the past. I think we're righting the way, but we need to push hard to invest in fixing the schools, and not just Band-Aid solutions, but really ground-up fixes.
Right.
And I think that we need to organize and really be vocal about that as an issue. So, education is huge. It'll impact public safety. Good schools are the core of good communities. That's my number one concern.
I think it's great. I mean, it does affect everyone, whether you have children or not. I think sometimes people don't think that, but I, as an educator myself, I do realize that.
Yep.
Exactly. So Nick, let's talk a little bit more now. Since you talked about you being a young person, how do you, as a city council person, get more people involved with local government?
Sure.
Whether it's voting, volunteering on committees, just whatever it might be. How do you go about doing something like that?
So one of the biggest things that I think we're going to talk about more and more in the coming years is we need to switch to a ward city council system. We need to switch to a ward council system with at-large members. The city of Lynn has 7 ward council members. We have 7 wards and 4 at-large members. I find that a lot of people don't have all the information they need to be engaged, right? Part of that is that the journalism industry is changing, right? And there's not a lot of control we have about that.
Absolutely not.
But people, if they have a counselor that represents their neighborhood, they know the buck stops with that person. So instead of kind of having that moment of, gee, I'm concerned about this pothole or this crime or this issue in my neighborhood.
Whatever the issue is.
I just know the mayor's name, but I don't know a counselor. If they had one counselor for their neighborhood, they would know to go to that person. In a similar way, I've covered local governments who've streamed meetings on Facebook in the past. So HC Media does an incredible job. I mean, this meeting alone is an important part of the process.
Absolutely.
But if we could get these things on Facebook, we know 411, there's all of these fora that people use to get their information. Streaming it on Facebook get a lot of the people who kind of lurk on Facebook to pay attention. And that's the kind of modern solution that I think could be really viable. In addition, I've knocked neighborhoods like around Necco, where a lot of people felt that they didn't get enough information about the marijuana dispensary situation in that area, which is still kind of in motion. City councilors going out there and having a forum in advance may have been a good idea.
That's a very good point. And sometimes, you don't realize these things until you actually get out there and knock on doors, right? And you hear them from people.
Yep.
Very good, Nick. So let's move on a little bit, can we? And we're going to talk about Uber.
Sure. Sure.
And Lyft and things like that. We know that they are not regulated like cab companies or like an Airbnb is not like a hotel. You think, should Haverhill go ahead and work to regulate these new technologies and, seek out for them to have a new public resource, right?
Public revenue source.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm glad you brought that up because the state calls them transportation network companies, TNCs, I believe. Right now, Haverhill gets approximately $10,000 a year as our portion of the state's fee on every ride. So in 2017, there were a little more than 100,000 Uber Lyft rides in Haverhill. So there was a significant number. I think it was 2017. You can find this all on the state website, mass.gov, I think. And I think we should take that $10,000 and put it in a permanent kind of transpo fund for crosswalks, for street narrowing, for islands, for all the things that we need to protect pedestrians, right? Because that's an issue
huge.
Across every neighborhood, right? Plugs Pond, little kids walk across the street, across Mill Street with no crosswalk. Lyft and Uber are a core part of our transportation system, and deriving benefits from them with that fee and using it specifically for that is an idea I care about. And anything we can do to make sure that the police know who's driving these cars and maybe have their background records, that too, having access to that on a state level, that probably requires a bill at the legislature. But I think that's a worthy idea as well.
I think it is too. I mean, like you said, so many people use them now. It's kind of silly not to have something like that. Well, let's go on to something a little bit about downtown. What elements do you think go into having that are necessary for a downtown to not just be vibrant and thriving, but to maintain that? Okay, because we know we can go downtown. It's having fun and it's all kind of different businesses and things like that. But we have to maintain that. So what elements do you think go into having all of those things happening? Right.
So when I think of what we should draw on as models for our downtown, it's kind of a mix of Newburyport and Somerville, right? We want kind of both of those aspects. One of those things is keeping it affordable, right? So making sure that if you move down there or you live down there, you're not going to get priced out. You make sure that businesses aren't being priced out. That's why I think that respecting that commercial tax rate and making sure that that's kind of left the way it needs to be is important. Curb cuts so that seniors who are walking who maybe need some help can get into the crosswalk safely. making sure that there's a certain level of beautification, and I want to shout out Team Haverhill for all the great work they're doing right now, painting things, keeping things in good condition. A variety of businesses is one thing I've heard from countless people. So that means, and some new grocery stores, some other businesses that are, we have the yoga spot, that's great, but it can't just be restaurants and bars.
Absolutely,
The commuter rail, I think, being a little more affordable. And we don't have much control of that at the city level, but it is our future. It's the core to a successful future. And safety, right? Hiring more police officers. I've heard a lot of people who've told me from all across the city who are like, I'm hesitant to go downtown because I worry about my safety. And I live downtown, so I can kind of understand that. I enjoy it a lot, but I see how people feel that way from the news. So we need to hire more police officers to make sure we can cover every part of town and make sure downtown is well protected.
Right, because you know what, who wants to go downtown if they're not going to feel safe?
Yep.
Right, and safety is always the first issue, I feel.
Absolutely.
Too. So Nick, we're going to wrap it up, and I just want to ask you, did such a wonderful job in explaining this, because it's all new for you.
Right.
How is the best way for folks to get in touch with you about your campaign if they have any questions about that?
So there's a couple ways. My cell phone number, I give it to everybody. I welcome any call. I'll answer any call at any hour, basically, because I want to meet and talk to people. It's the way this works. Is 508-662-5712.
Great.
Then we have the Committee to Elect Nick Golden Facebook page, which we use as a source of decent amount of information.
Right.
And then finally, there's the nickforhaverhill.com website, which my wonderful girlfriend Danielle put together. She's off camera right there, and she did a great job. And those are probably the three primary places. Or just friend me on Facebook and message me, and I'm super
you're available. You're
Absolutely.
Definitely available. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming. You did a great job, and the best
Linda.
of luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay.